This video from got a video here from Takashii from Japan. The guy who does a lot of like street interviews and stuff like that around Japan. And this is him talking to foreigners about how Japan has changed you as a person. I thought, might be a bit interesting. So we'll give it a gander.
How has Japan
Maybe in
changed
the
you
future
as a
I'll
person?
do
I
a
realized
video
like
how Japan has changed me after I've been there like 6 months a year and stuff like that. Maybe we can look at this in the future.
much I've actually changed.
I was a very social person before I came here, and after living in Japan.
How long have you been in Japan?
A long time.
A long time, eh?
Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Takashii from Japan. So today I'm going to interview foreigners in Japan. How has Japan changed you as a person? I interview people who've been living in Japan more than 10 years. So basically interview Japan experts. Okay,
10
get
years.
started. Thank you for your time.
Jeez.
Where from?
I'm
They
from
could become
Switzerland.
right?
How long have you been in Japan?
10 years. Like they could literally apply for a permanent residency if they've been there that long.
A little bit more than a year.
What do you do?
I did language school, but
Oh,
now I'm working for my visa
okay.
to be accepted so I can work in a travel agency.
Oh,
Canada. 7 years. I work in marketing.
I'm from America. I've been in Japan now for 9 years.
9 years.
9 years
Um,
last week. I'm a product designer.
I'm from Orlando, Florida, in America. In total, more than 10 years, yeah. Right now, it's been 11. So I'm a musician, and occasionally I make YouTube content.
I'm from India, a little more than a year. I'm doing my master's right now.
I'm from London. I've been in Japan
England,
for
big
four
up,
and a
woo,
half
woo, woo,
years
woo.
now, and I do video production work in Tokyo. I work with like YouTubers and other companies and stuff, and yeah.
How has Japan changed you as a person?
I have become more shy. I was already shy before, but here you have a lot of privacy, and it's good for if you're introverted. Like in the restaurant, you sit alone. In the train, it's normal to be alone. Don't get confronted by strangers, so it's kind of like if you're shy, you don't really come out of your shell, kind of.
Right. And also, like, it's kind of
Ah.
society allows you to be shy
Yeah.
as well, Everyone's shy here.
But I was gonna say, like, it's an opening that Japanese people are quite shy. But then also, like, I feel like that would depend on partially on like your personality, right? Like, if you're a very outgoing person, like that sort of stuff, yeah, you have privacy in those sort of scenarios, but you could make up for it with other social aspects, right? But I guess, yeah, if you're a shy person, you could sort of go down the rabbit hole of becoming secluded to yourself, right?
Yeah, so
It's
even
not
Japanese
good,
people, right?
generally.
I actually didn't really notice I changed that much until I went back to Canada this summer.
Oh.
And then I realized like how much I've actually changed. Just I learned how to respect people, how to respect things. Like before
Bro, this is like almost like slander towards Canada, isn't it? I used to be a Canadian. I lived in Canada. I didn't know what respect was until I came to Japan. Just didn't know. But when I went back, I realized I learned respect.
I used to just have stuff, I like throw it, whatever. Now like when I went back, I place things or I'm very gentle with things. I care about the people around me more. Like Mawari no Hito. I don't want to do things that will
more
bother other
observant.
people. I learned over the 7 years of just it being like ingrained into you, whether it be in society or with people you are, or just seeing everything around you. You just tend to become more considerate and respectful of other people's things because I wouldn't want someone doing that to me. So maybe
You see that this is actually it's the opposite for me. So I feel I am fairly more like that now in the UK, and it to no end bothers me that everyone else around me isn't like that. That's part of the reason I want to go to Japan, because I know how much like more respectful and more observant about their surroundings people in Japan are. Like
be more compassionate.
That's hard because I've spent 10 years here. So when I was 22 versus 32, that's a lot of growth and a lot of maturity.
that's
we
true,
give
that's
a
true.
lot of crap to English teachers. Sometimes I'm like, oh, is this a waste of time? It's just kind of like a job because I want to be in Japan for a visa. But stepping back and thinking about it, working with kids gave me so much patience and it taught me.
Yeah, bro, I couldn't work with kids. I would yeet them out a window, bro. I'm not gonna lie. There's no way I could be an English teacher in Japan. There'd be kids going out windows. I can't, bro. Though saying that, that's with me thinking about kids. If I had to teach a school, like a class of English kids, maybe Japanese kids would be better because they have more respect for their teachers generally, and there's there's more discipline there, right? Like kids are more like behaved and stuff like that in comparison to the little destroyers that are little English kids, bro. Maybe
Me to
would
be
sit in with some
respectful, to be
popcorn or watch me
open-minded about
eat kids
things,
out.
and I think that experience is invaluable. I know, like, yeah, English teaching sucks sometimes, but I mean, hey, English teachers, you're doing a really important job.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think growing up in America specifically,
Oh yeah, like nothing against people who teach, go over there to teach people stuff, right? Like if that's your only avenue to get out there, then fair play, you know. But yeah, I just couldn't do it. I don't have the patience, bro.
I was always kind of introverted, but America is kind of like an aggressively extroverted place. Like, they always tell the
Mm.
kids, like, oh, have an opinion, speak your mind, take up space, live out loud, which I think is great in context. But, then the extreme is that people are just saying
Yeah,
it no matter what the circumstances. And I think for me,
yeah, no, like there's a line, isn't there? Like, I feel like, especially when I've had interactions in America, like, but even in the UK is just as bad, right? There's like a line. I feel like there's sharing your opinion, right? But then there's like forcefully pushing an opinion, and there's also just not sharing your thoughts on something, right? There's like everything. There's a balance, right? And it's like probably Japan is too far on the no opinion side, whereas like places like UK and America are way too far on the other side, right?
like I struggled with that a little bit in America. Like, I was always pushing myself to be a bit more extroverted, which kind of came off as
Mm.
annoying because it wasn't who I naturally was. So living in Japan for a long time kind of enabled me to get back in touch with my introvertedness, like living with intention and
Mm.
having intentional interactions as opposed to just thinking, oh, I have to have a bunch of friends. I have to go out.
Yeah, I guess that'd probably be something in Japan, right? Like you probably have, because of how the Japanese are, right? They don't bother with like like pointless interactions in their eyes, right? So if you make a friend in Japan, like they're more likely to be a friend because they actually want to be your friend, right? And not just because it's convenient or something along those lines, which is a big problem in Western countries. You have friends, but some of those friends aren't actually your friends, if you know what I mean. Like, it's a weird scenario, right? Like, sometimes you'll have a friend and yeah, you'll invite them when you do like group stuff, but if you put like one on one in a room with them, it'd probably break down real quick. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, right?
Out every week and I have to do these things. Be able to like individually be introverted.
What is
Think,
a
okay, this
friend?
is what's best for me. This is what I want to
Oof,
do.
oof,
And I like
chat.
the fact that in Japan people tend to like I don't want to say ignore other people, but like benevolently ignore other people. Like people in Japan give everyone emotional space to do what they want to do, but they'll still
Mm.
help you, like, if something happens. But there's not a pressure to really like, have to make small talk. I have to always have a smile on your face. I have to always be like, hey man, how's it going? What's up? You can kind of be a bit more low key and relaxed here. And I like that. I became more comfortable being introverted. Like I was always introverted, but then living in Tokyo specifically enabled me to really develop a sense of being okay with that.
In a good way, I think like I've become more punctual. Uh,
Punctual.
yeah,
Oh.
maybe I have a few meetings back in India, then I'm always on time, probably like before time. But on Zoom meetings, I say, okay, Indians are a bit late. But I think that's in a good way that I've become very disciplined and I'm
Mm-hmm.
always on time and I respect other people's time as well. And if I want to say that if there's something that has changed that I miss, that I wish that didn't change, was I was a very social person before I came here, and after living in Japan for like, especially in Kyoto for 1 year, I think I've become more quiet, more reserved as a person, and
But like the guy before was saying though, I feel like that might be just because she may have been more social, but maybe indirectly she didn't know herself that maybe she's not as extroverted as she first thought, right? Because if she was truly extroverted, she'd get out like like the true definition of extrovert, right? Maybe she's more of an ambivert, right? That because a true if you're really an extrovert, right, you'd get out and you'd find those scenarios to become social in. So maybe it's more that she's more of an ambivert, and she just didn't. She just was used to being an extrovert because of social norms in her country, right? Maybe.
not that talkative, maybe more of an introvert.
I think the main one that I can point out is that I became like a lot more extroverted compared to what I was in London. In Japan, people keep to themselves a lot. So, you know, you have to be the one to reach out if you want to make
Yeah, but if you're an
friends.
extrovert, you would, wouldn't
Adopted
you?
any Japanese custom or practice into your daily life?
Oh man, I've said this before, but like, yo, if you don't drink, it's kind of hard to make friends here. I'm gonna tell you.
Oh shit! I'm gonna have to pop open the liquor and get used to it. Do I need to go back to my school days, eh?
Like a lot of the activities, like you don't have to drink, it's fine. But I said like a lot of the activities in Japan have to do with drinking. You go rock climbing. What are you gonna do after? You're gonna go drinking.
Oh no, bro, I feel like that's just a general thing that people do. Actually, this is probably not gonna be. I used to do that when we was like, where, I don't see. Now I'm saying this. He's saying it as a negative thing, but then I'm like, but British people do that. And then I thought, wait, British people have been noted to have also a drinking issue, right? Because I used to go, and whenever I used to play sports, right, back in the day, I used to literally, like, no joke, I'd be playing sport, running around for like 2 hours, you know, sweating to my guts, smelly, stinky oni, right? And do you know what we'd do? You obviously should hydrate. We hydrate while we're exercising, right? But literally, as soon as we finish, we used to walk down into the city, and we'd go to a Weatherspoons, which is like sort of a pub in the UK that does cheap food, cheap drinks, and we used to drink alcohol. And I used to get myself cocktails. Like I'd get like two cocktail, like several pints of cocktails, right? Straight after training. so maybe they just maybe it's just the same as the UK, but we're just odd to everyone else in the world, right?
You're gonna go watch like a movie after you're gonna go drinking.
Yes,
Picnic.
You
of
go on a picnic,
course.
you go drinking, right?
Okay, I don't know if I'd do it at a picnic. Oh, maybe I'd take the drinks with me to the picnic.
But like a lot of it is centered around that. It's that culture, right? Even in Korea, it's the same thing. Even if you don't
They have cheap
drink,
drinks, right?
participate in those things, and like no one's gonna force you to drink. You'd be like, oh, drink.
I mean, it's like I had a friend who doesn't drink. Well, I have a friend who doesn't drink, right? And you know, as long as you're just in the activity, enjoying yourself, right? You don't have to drink to enjoy yourself. If you don't drink, you don't drink, right? The only problem people have is when you don't drink, but then also you're like the party pooper, right? You gotta be open to making yourself a bit more wilder, a bit more open to stuff and stuff like that while your friends are drinking, because they're gonna probably come up with some wild ideas, sporadic ideas, right? And if you've not had anything to drink, you're probably less likely to want to do them. But you should do them anyway, because no one's got a problem with you drinking, but you don't want to kill the vibe, you know. That's what
like have your little oolong tea.
Yeah,
like participate in
yeah, become part of the.
Like, oh, we're going drinking, and don't be like, no, I don't drink. They're not gonna force you.
No,
to
no,
drink.
just get yourself
that you're
something
willing to drink
Philly soda or
Or you're
something
willing
like
to
that.
be a part of it. You're willing to be a part of this thing because Japan's all about group, right? And like you don't want to
Yeah,
be
have
one
fun,
guy
you know?
who orders like something different, but at the same time, it's like, oh well, he doesn't actually drink, so like let's just get him an oolong high.
Yeah, no,
I've
like,
seen that
I
happen.
don't
I've done
think
it
people
in
are gonna
college.
care, really.
Some of the teachers like they don't drink alcohol; they'll just have the oolong high, and it's fine. It has a lot to do with caring about other people.
Mhm.
If that's one piece of advice, always be considerate of the people around you and how they might feel. One thing that I did change though was washing my hands every
Oh.
time I got home.
You didn't do
Oh.
it in Canada? You said-
No, we don't. Like
Oh,
even
really?
like yeah, it's not a thing. Like I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because of the pandemic or whatever. But like I'd see my sister.
Oh, it could be
or my
cleanliness thing.
brother-in-law
Yeah,
lives in
yeah,
Canada,
yeah.
like, people come home, they just go straight to the kitchen and they start touching food. I'm like, bro, like you're not gonna wash your hands. Like you just touch them.
I could understand the logic.
Like, you
Honestly, I understand the logic in that. Like, washing your hands when you come inside, like, if your house is clean or not, right? But wherever you've been, whatever you may have touched on your way back, it sort of makes sense, You don't want to dirty up your house in the sense of like potentially pushing germs that you've got on your hands. I understand the logic behind it. I don't do it, but I understand the logic, but I don't do it yet. Maybe I will.
touch something dirty, like it's not really in there. So like now it's like every time I come home, I just wash my hands.
That makes sense.
Another
Makes
thing is,
makes a
like,
lot of sense
now
actually.
I never go on the bed unless I've gone in the ohuro. Like I used to before, like even in Canada, like you just chill on your bed, like with your clothes. You went to the mall or whatever. You just go on your bed, you just chill or whatever, go on your phone. You do that here, like I'm getting mad at people who come to my house or whatever. It's like, yo, get off the bed. Like you gotta like no, like so I learned that.
I think for Japanese people, the bed is like sacred place.
Yeah.
Like you cannot go unless you take a shower or something.
Exactly. Also that too. Like I used to be a morning shower person. Here, like I've been here for 7 years. Like take a shower at night, and it makes so much more sense. You have to take a
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a morning or night person when I take a shower. I just take a shower whenever I have time to take the shower. So if I have time in the morning before work, I'll take it then. If I have time if I didn't have time in the morning but I had time during my lunch, I'll do it then. But worst case scenario, like I do it in the evenings. Or if I'd been like working out or I've been playing sport or something like that, and I've obviously been sweaty, you also then have it in the evening. Like, because I don't understand the people who say they know they're going to be doing some sort of fitness in the evening. They have a shower in the morning to then have a shower again when they come back at night. In my head, it don't make no sense because like that shit's bad for your hair. Like you shouldn't wash your hair and shit like that too much.
shower at night. Like, why would you be dirty and sweaty, especially in summer, and then go into your bed? It's like it's nasty.
Yes, I just recently went back to Switzerland.
Yeah, I understand that. Like, if in the UK summer it's like a heat wave or something like that, I'll 100% have a shower before going to bed. Yeah, that is pretty nasty. Yeah.
I realized I started.
Like, so I think the only other reason why you do it other times is if you feel you're not gonna have time to do it in the evening. I feel, or like, because it just depends on your schedule, right? And I think that's what it comes down to. And like different people prefer, like I know some people who instead of having it in the evening, Mr. Last, like they will have it like in the morning because they have like a cold shower in the morning because there's like some known health benefits about having a cold shower in the morning and stuff like that. So there's all sorts of reasons why people do it at different times. To be honest, I don't think it matters massively. I think there's logic to all of the different times of doing it realistically. As long as you're having showers, I don't think there's a problem though, right? As long as you're having a shower.
Bowing all the time. Like the car stopped, and I was like, and my mom was like, "What are you doing?" And also in the store, you automatically.
No, Aaron. Because like, if you if you're really badly sweating in your bed, you should realistically be trying to cool your room down. You shouldn't be sweating while you're asleep. That's not good for you. Also, if you've been sweating in your sheets, realistically, you should probably be changing them and not letting the sweat just dry. I don't think if my room got way too hot that I was like sweating everywhere, I would be changing my sheets. I would not be sleeping in those same sheets the next night.
This bowing, it doesn't go away. And also, I feel like here you become more aware of other people around you and your surroundings. So
awareness
train when it's
heightens
you make sure
from
that
going
your
to
bag is not disturbing other
Japan,
people.
yeah.
And I realized in Switzerland, nobody else does it. Like,
No one gives
we
a fuck,
arrived at
bro,
the
in the
airport,
Western
we
world.
went into this train and it was a bit packed.
Oh, no one
People were
cares,
so
bro.
annoyed and they were like, and you're just like, oh, okay, we're not in Japan anymore.
Having a Japanese family anywhere, even in Japan or outside of Japan, you're gonna bring some. Yeah, you're gonna bring some like practices and customs.
So your husband is Japanese, right?
Hi, Nihonjin desu. He's Japanese. It's pretty atypical. Like we take our shoes off in the house. I've gotten really good at cooking rice. Besides that, I don't know. Between my husband and I feel like we're kind of like, I wouldn't say an Americanized couple, but we're not really atypical Japanese
So it's a
marriage. It's very balanced. It's very balanced. So it's not really heavy on one side or the other.
Interesting.
Like Valentine's Day, we do an American style, for example. But Hatsumode, my husband also is like, oh, let's go to the temple. He always drags me to Mount Takayama as such a hike on New Year's.
She does not.
Marriage too. It's just compromising
She
of
did not
culture,
seem
so
impressed.
I think we find it pretty balanced. Yeah.
I love planning, meeting friends in advance. Like in America, like you might meet.
Oh, see, I have a Japanese friend who has been talking to, right, using like one of the pen pal sort of apps. And I know exactly what he's going to say. Japanese people are a lot more sporadic. And like me, myself as well. So I was talking to my Japanese friend about this. Like, I personally am like very like planning forward person. I like to plan everything, right? I'm always like several steps ahead of myself, always trying to make sure that I have backup plans for everything I want to do and stuff like that. Yeah, and I heard in Japan it's just very sporadic, constantly. just much sporadic, much wow, you know.
Meet someone that same day, which is cool because the way things work. But I really love making plans with my friends like a month or so in advance because it's like we're both
Yeah, that's
taking
what I
time
like
out
doing.
of
Yeah,
our
yeah,
schedules to dedicate one
yeah,
day a
yeah,
week.
yeah.
So I love that.
I've started drinking a lot of tea and hot water. I don't know if that's a thing. And also taking a bath before going to sleep.
Business culture was the big one. I came from a business background in London, and business culture in Japan, like America, London, whatever, completely different.
Yeah, I've been told this. People have said to me like, well, my Japanese friend has said to me like, even they still don't quite understand business culture in Japan, and they've been working in in the business industry for what 5-6 years or so now. They've been working in a your generic sort of Japanese corporation, right? And they still like I still don't understand half the business etiquette. So like if they don't understand it, right, and they're Japanese through and through, it must be so different for like Westerners and just like just general foreigners to have to try and adjust to that, right?
And having to adjust to that, having to adjust to how you talk to people, how you do business, what is actually
Mm-mm.
important, like kachikam, like values and stuff, they're like completely different. Also, what is seen as work and what is seen as good work and stuff like that. That definitely had like a lot of adjustment that I had to make there.
When you came to Japan, is there anything you couldn't accept or you couldn't understand
Oh, this one's
in terms of
interesting.
Japanese culture or the people mindset?
I think it's something that I still don't accept now, that if they're way too polite, like if you expect something out of someone, it would be nicer if you could convey it. But
Way
I
too
understand
polite.
like it's
That's
quite difficult
an
for
odd one.
among Japanese people as well. They don't really express what they really feel, and sometimes it
Ah,
becomes really
yes,
difficult
that one's
as
hard. Yeah,
a person. So we are told
that
that
they
you should
might.
go and approach people if you want to talk to them because they're very shy. But sometimes I don't realize that if they're really shy, or maybe sometimes they
They might not
don't
want to
want to
talk to you.
entertain or don't want to talk. So I would not know the difference, like when they
Ah,
are
yeah, yeah.
not in the mood, and or when they are just shy and they're okay with you talking. So I think, yeah, maybe expressing their feelings is something that I don't understand because we
Yeah, I think foreigners having to try and figure out tate mai, which is like learning how to read the air of the room and like small social cues and stuff like that is going to be probably one of the hardest things. I think that's going to be harder than me having to learn the language fluently. It's going to be have to learn how you know uh, tate mai with people and understanding how to read the room and what people actually mean when they say something or do something, rather than what is first seen at first glance. For sure.
we are very expressive. We're very loud as well in a good way.
Maybe I didn't expect Japanese people to be as shy as they would be.
Hmm.
I mean, I met some Japanese girls randomly, and I never knew if they're just friendly or if they would want to be friends. I mean, they said, let's exchange social media, let's meet up, but it never really happened after that. So you're never sure if they are just friendly or if they really want to hang out.
See.
Yeah, and I thought when I would come here, I would just see through that and I would figure out how to make friends with Japanese people, but it's still
She's
hard.
only
I
still
think
only
the
been there
world
a
is also
year.
changing a little bit, and Japanese people become more westernized, I think, and that's like I think they know how to talk to Westerners better these days.
One of the things that I realized was like Japanese bureaucracy, like to do like all the forms and everything, it was super frustrating. You gotta realize that like Japan is a country with a lot of people. There has to be some kind of order to things. And I appreciate that they are taking that effort and care to do things. And you kind of realize that in Japanese culture, like everywhere around you, like Japanese people really take to care to like do things thoroughly, do things properly, blah blah blah. It can be
Yeah.
annoying sometimes, but that's the price of having.
Like, yeah, I guess like yeah, like it's like two sides of the same coin, right? Like it's super frustrating. Like I've already found it frustrating with my applications and stuff. How many forms I've had to fill, and oh my god, it's such a long, slow process. But at the same time, they're very efficient in other ways, and culturally, just generally, everything moves a lot smoother because of that. You know, because how everything's just perfectly in order, right? But that causes frustrations in other areas. But yeah, it's like one of those things where you gain all that's like just like general stuff like trains, like running perfectly, always on time, really quick, really smooth and stuff like that. But then you also got to go fill out shit tons of forms when you go to like an office building. Like you win some, you lose some, right? With how things have changed.
Such high quality service.
I think the thing I couldn't accept is, and I think this goes against a lot of people's like stereotype of Japan, is like how low technology we are when it comes to daily living.
Yeah, I know.
And I think people,
I love the
people who,
fax machines,
don't live
bro.
in Japan
In
don't understand that.
2024.
And because tourists who come in, you stay around like the big touristy areas, and that has like lots of fun things to do, lots of bright shining lights, and that looks super techy and impressive. But when you're living life on the daily, you have to think, well, the majority of people who make policies and technology are older people making them for other older people in Japan. So they can't really update a lot of their like, cash only systems are slowly being updated, and also just like bank books, the banking systems, the forms for everyone. But if you take away all of that, you exclude an entire like elderly population who only knows how to work with that. So that's not being considerate. So I understand why. If you're really thinking about moving here, whatever
They
the
probably
reason
should just
is,
introduce
find
both
your
systems,
community,
right?
find your people,
Have them
and then
working
even
alongside
if
each other.
you're not social, or you're kind of worried about your Japanese level, it doesn't matter. Finding your community here can be so important because Japan's a great place to
I feel
live.
like that's what I was
but
sort of saying
be
earlier about,
realistic
being
and just
extroverted
prepare
and
yourself.
stuff like
It's
that.
a great city, but it's like any other place on earth too.
Like my plan for when I go to Japan, right, is obviously I'll speak to people who are studying with me in class and stuff like that. But I'm gonna also go do activities that I enjoy. Like I'm gonna go watch volleyball matches, and I'm probably gonna game a bit while I'm out there still. Maybe go to like some gaming conventions and stuff like that. Just meet people who have similar interests, right? Meet people with similar interests. You're more likely to become friends with them, and then you can have more social interaction. And social interaction for stuff like learning Japanese. Your Japanese is going to get better when you with the more practice. I feel like most people who go to Japan and probably have like a really bad rut of it and end up self isolating a lot. Are probably those people who can't manage to get out, which I know for some people is hard. But I feel like it's one of those things where when you take the first couple of steps, it definitely gets easier and easier. Right?
Becoming lonely as well.
Yeah, it gets really lonely here. It can be. So find your people.
Yeah, in fact, I think there's like 2 or 3 things I'll probably never understand or accept, and like that sounds pretty heavy, but like obviously number one is natto. I just no matter how long I live here, I can't eat natto. Like I know it's healthy.
Yeah, I
I know
tried
it's good for you,
natto. Not
I
for
don't like
me.
neba things.
Not
Number two,
not for me.
corn
Yeah.
on pizza. I can't. I'm sorry. I don't like corn on pizza. And then I think maybe not so much about people, but I think maybe like a living thing would be the lack of centralized air conditioning and heating. So, for example, summers here are brutal. So, if you're at home, you might have air conditioning in one room. You go to the other room, and it's still hot in that room. Or, yakuni in the winter,
Yeah, but that's more to do with your infrastructure of your own household, right? Like you could have like multiple air conditioners in different rooms, right? Like he's saying like, oh, you go in one room, then go in the other. Like, but normally people only put it in the one room because that's the one room they mainly use, and it's more cost efficient, right? But if you're that bothered about it, you just pay the extra fucking money, bro. Right?
you might have heating in one room, but then you go to another room and you're freezing because you're not wearing outside clothes. So I think for me, like no matter how long I live here, that's always going to be something I have to get used to.
That's
every
something you
year.
could easily
Summer, like,
fix. So
all you're gonna see in my wardrobe is just white t-shirts in summer.
Why?
Like it's so hot. All you do is sweat. Like all you do is sweat. Now it's October. It's a little bit warmer. I can wear the black one, and I don't like sweat doesn't show up as much. Any month apart from June, July, or August is like completely fine. It's great.
Do you speak Japanese?
Yes, maybe a little bit.
I'd hope he
How
does
is your
after 7
Canadian
years.
in Japanese?
カナダでなんか日本語の授業を受けて
Ah, he took
2
classes
年
in
間で
Canada.
勉強しました。
はい
で、それで日本人の女の子と付き合ってて、
あー
その日本人とよく日本語喋ったり英語してたんですけど、なんか日本に来た時に喋れなかった日本語は私はね。
日本2年間カナダで勉強してたけど。
カナダで勉強したけど、
全然。
実際の日本語は全然。
This is like this is why I don't want to learn it in the UK. Like go to like a language school in the UK. I feel like you're gonna probably get out taught a lot of stuff. Like it's probably like people teaching English outside of it, an English speaking mainly country, right? Or like say Japan. There's a lot of the English they learn in Japan generally is like old literature English. Like it's not obviously modern and stuff like that. So a lot of the stuff they use is like, oh, why would you say that? We use a different word now. And there's especially a lot of that in Japanese. I've been told. So yes, yes, learning in Japan much better
喋り方も
from
なん
what
か
I've been
全
told.
く分からなくて、毎日アプリで実習 I know っていうアプリ I know っていうアプリはなんか単語アプリで、その単語アプリはなんか例文もついてるし、その例文をシャドーインしてフレーズとかを言いやすくなる。
そのアプリは良かったですか？
あ、よかった。おすすめ、おすすめ。
Not sponsored, but
Not sponsored. I know .co.jp and then also Wanikani.
大体独学
Wani
で
Kani. I've never heard of
学ん
either of
だ
those two.
ロンドン行った
I'll have
時
to jot them
日
down.
本語学校3ヶ月ぐらい行ってやめたね。なんかクラスはちょっと遅いと思って、
Pace was too
なんか
slow.
ず
Fair,
っ
fair.
と独学に変わった。元気1と元気2っていう。
Ah, Genki. I got the yellow. I got that Genki book behind me actually, the orange one.
インプットしながらテレビとかラジオとか、まあ音楽もなんかそれ聞きながら見ながら、なんか文法とか言葉とかの気づけるかどうかってそれでまあ確認した。ずっとその時に勉強した時アウトできなかった日本人周りに日本人いなかったってずっと、毎日12時間のインプットしてた。
日本に来る前にちょっとアメリカで日本語勉強してた。やはりなんか東京に住みたくて、東京の、まあ、メインの言語はやっぱり日本語ので、だから日本語学ばなきゃ。
any advice to those who just started learning Japanese?
If you're learning Japanese, I definitely recommend watching like Japanese dramas, maybe more than anime. I think anime has like fantasy Japanese words, onomatopoeias, and like words that only exist in anime. But if you watch like Japanese drama toka, they have more like nichicho teki na nihongo, like everyday Japanese. So watch dramas for sure.
EasyJet's big
Oh,
earning sale is
EasyJet.
now.
Oh, EasyJet got me there.
Something
Watch,
you enjoy.
dramas.
Learning any language is long and difficult. I'm learning every day. Like I'm still not at a level that I'm happy with. 絶対ペラペラじゃない。なんかバラバラ日本語使ってる。But that's the thing. I enjoy that long journey. So the fact that I enjoy it lets me continue. Definitely find something you enjoy watching, reading, a textbook. You
Going
like.
bark.
Lots of people recommend this textbook, that textbook, and try to use it and whatever. For me, I just found a load of TV shows that I really enjoyed. And so, 12 hours of input, 10 hours, whatever, it never felt like any work or it wasn't.
Yeah.
Learn Japanese.
It gets to a point where
formally
it becomes
at
less
least a little
learning
bit,
and more
so
just
you
living your life,
understand
right?
grammar. If not, I would say
Oh.
read a book called
Righty, I have returned. Sorry about that, guys.
Take Kim's Grammar Guide to Japanese. And I would say, like, the only reason I was able to excel over my other classmates in Japanese, because it's very difficult, is not to think about how to say something in Japanese, but why you say something in Japanese. So it's almost linguistics.
Big
but
brain in it,
that
boys.
book, Take Kim's Grammar Guide, it teaches you about the Japanese mindset and how they think and why they would say certain things, rather than, oh, ni is this, or ni is that, or ga, wa, ga, or doko, whatever. It's like, yes, you know that word, but when you understand why they would say that and it just serves as a function in a sentence, that's when it becomes easier to understand. And then I would also say to learn kanji and really appreciate kanji. It's the best thing in the world. Because sometimes you can just like look at a sentence and you'll understand what it means. Like I can't read it. I can't read it. Like maybe I forgot.
I can't read it,
I already know
but
that means like inshoku or something. Like I already, like that's how you eat or drink, right?
Are you gonna live in Japan forever, or at some point you want to go back to your home country?
If you would have asked me a couple of years ago, I would have said yes. But I feel like the older I get,
Couple of years
the
ago, she's only
more
been there a
I
year,
wanna
apparently.
be closer
Wait,
to
what?
my family and live in a more quiet place. But as long as I'm young, I want to stay here and enjoy all the things that Japan has to offer. And also, like career-wise, you have a lot more options here, or like possibilities, chances that you will never get in a small country like Switzerland, especially. Like when I came here, I still had Swiss savings. Now that the Japanese yen is low, it was like living like a king a little bit, especially as a Swiss person. But when I got home to Switzerland for a holiday,
Can't spend.
yeah, I couldn't spend any money because the yen is so weak and Swiss franc is very strong and everything is expensive. Like my mom had to pay for everything. I was like poor.
Good question. Probably. We'll see what happens. My visa still got some time on it. But yeah, I love Japan. I left and I came back. That's how much I love it. So probably. Nice wife and kid.
Yeah, at this point, I think so. Yeah,
The
like,
dancing at the end.
I love my life in Japan. I feel like I live a full life in Japan at the moment. I've been able to make a home. I have lots of friends. I love learning every day. Like, that's part of my personality. It's like my dopamine hit. Like, learning is part of my dopamine hits. Learning Japanese every day is part of that. It gives me joy. At the moment, short answer, yes, I think so. I hope my mom doesn't watch this because we haven't spoken about this yet.
To be
Oh.
truthful, like I love Japan.
Drama.
I've lived in Japan. My family's here, my friends are here. I've had some great memories here. But if I'm honest with myself, culturally, Japan's just not a great fit for me. We're slowly beginning to kind of be more comfortable with transitioning back to America.
Really?
But it's not too crazy. Yeah, I mean, I can continue living in Japan for a few more years. It won't kill me. I've already done all
Okay,
my
she wants to go home.
Thank you so much.
She's sort of locked in.
Thank you.
The American woman sort of like, I want to go back, but I'm sort of married, have kids, sort of locked in here. Oof. Big oof. But no, that was interesting. There was some interesting thoughts there for sure. So I feel like it's was a lot of stuff like you know, being introverted, not extroverted, and stuff like that. Just a lot of the generic stuff that you've probably heard a lot of. To be honest. It's too late now. Yeah, it's a bit late after you've had a kid and got a husband. To decide Japan's not for me, isn't it? Especially if maybe your significant other doesn't want to really move out of Japan, right? They may have married you with the thought of that you plan to stay here. Like, oh, I bet that's some serious talks going on there, right? Hopefully, it works out well for them. Yeah, no, good decent video from Takashii.